Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and welcome to the Practical Stoic Podcast, where I give you practical Stoic advice for modern times. If you'd like to see more information about this podcast, or if you'd like to see more of my free resources, just go to my website. It's risetothegoodlife.com. But for now, I really hope that you enjoy this podcast, and if you do, then I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe on iTunes and leave a positive review so that more people can have the chance to listen to this great work. Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and welcome to the Practical Stoic Podcast. One of the most incredible revelations that I ever had came to me when I was listening to a live seminar by Eric Thomas, an incredible speaker. What he said was basically that he could lose everything, his house, his car, his money, his business, and it wouldn't matter at all, because what's important is not what you have, but what you know. He bought the house, he earned the money, and he built his business. And so if he lost those things, he could just go out and do exactly what he did to get them in the first place. This was an incredible concept to me. What I took from this message was that it was far more valuable to have wealth in the mind than in the hand. It is far more important to be a wise person than a wealthy person. A wise person will always find exactly what they need, but a rich person without wisdom is a sitting duck. This is why so many people lose their fortune only a few years after finding it, because they've learned how to make money, but they don't have the wisdom to know how to keep it. When I first started reading about Stoicism, I was really interested in the concepts that these ancient figures were talking about. But there was one quote that really helped me to see the shining message behind this incredible philosophy. The quote is by Seneca, of course, and its message is along similar lines to what I heard at the Eric Thomas seminar. But there was somewhat of a Stoic slant on it. Anyway, he says the following, quote, "The geometrician teaches me how I may avoid losing any fraction of my estates, but what I really want to learn is how to lose the lot and still keep smiling." End quote. This quote absolutely blew me away. When I read this, it was clear to me that Stoicism was special. Here's one of the most successful people in the world at this time, and he's not chasing after more, but instead he's trying to learn how he can lose everything and still be as happy as if he owned the world. This is the kind of wisdom that everyone would do well to learn. This kind of wisdom can change the world. What both Eric Thomas and Seneca were saying was basically that it doesn't matter what you have physically, but what truly matters is the wisdom that you've acquired and the person who you've become. A poor person is just as poor with $1 million if they don't have virtue and wisdom, and a wealthy person is just as rich with no money if they have wealth in the mind. You know, it actually reminds me of another quote by Seneca where he basically says that a person who doesn't believe that what they have is enough is an unhappy person even if they're the king of the world. The current governmental and economic system that we subscribe to does not determine one's true wealth. This can only be determined by the content of a person's mind and their true character. I've actually read that first quote that I've mentioned from Seneca to a few people with a view to share the beauty of what he is saying. But many people misinterpret the true meaning of his words. They get confused and they think that he's an idiot because he wants to lose everything, but they're completely missing the point. See, Seneca isn't saying that he wants to lose everything, but rather he is saying that he wants to be happy in the case that he does lose everything. But instead of me explaining this, I'll let Seneca himself do the honors. He said, quote, "The difference here between the Epicurean and our own school is this. Our wise man feels his troubles but overcomes them, while their wise man does not even feel them. We share with them the belief that the wise man is content with himself. Nevertheless, self-sufficient though he is, he still desires a friend and a neighbor, a companion. Notice how self-contented he is. On occasions such as a man is content with a mere partial self, if he loses a hand as a result of war or disease, or has one of his eyes, or even both put out in an accident, he will be satisfied with what remains of himself and be no less pleased with his body now that it is maimed and incomplete than he was when it was whole. But while he does not hanker after what he has lost, he does prefer not to lose them." End quote. So what Seneca is saying is that obviously there are things which you should not hope to lose. But the important thing is to recognize that it is entirely possible to have an unbreakable character, one that holds firm even after a heavy loss. Seneca uses the example of friendship, and he says that the true Stoic loves to have friends and would never hope to lose them, but he is able to be just as content without them as he is with them. Again, Seneca and Stoicism in general promotes the idea that we should focus on wealth in the mind, because this kind of wealth cannot be taken from us. This is the true wealth of the world, and it can only be truly measured in times of crisis, times when everything a person believes is put to the test, times when, as Seneca has said, even to live is an act of courage. Whenever I talk about the unbreakable mind that we must develop, I am reminded of people like Nelson Mandela, who spent 18 years imprisoned in an island jail. In this way, he is quite similar to the Stoics, seeing as both Seneca and Epictetus spent considerable time banished on islands. Although Nelson Mandela was a prisoner, in his mind he was a free man. His character, wisdom, and moral fortitude kept him going through those dark times, and he came out stronger, better, and wiser. He said, quote, "Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again." End quote. These are the words of a truly wise man, a man who understands fully that it is not what you have, but it's what you know that's important. Stoicism is one of the greatest philosophies for developing an unshakable character and for becoming a person of wisdom. In this episode, I basically wanted to share with you these ideas and to get you thinking about where you stand. If you lost everything tomorrow, how would you react? If you were faced with a monumental crisis, what would you do? In the next episode, I'll be sharing some of these ideas for how you can develop the strength to withstand any problem in your life. But for now, I'll leave you with just one last quote from Seneca. He says, quote, "This is what you should teach me. How to be like Odysseus, how to love my country, wife, and father, and how, even after suffering shipwreck, I might keep on sailing on course to those honorable ends." End quote. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Practical Stoic Podcast. I'm so excited and grateful that this podcast is getting out to so many people, and I'm even more excited with the response that I'm getting from people like you who are messaging me and saying, I'm really getting a lot of help out of this, a lot of value out of these episodes. If you would like to get in touch with me, just go to my website. It's risetothegoodlife.com, and you can send me an email via there. Otherwise, you can just go to my Facebook page, which is either Simon Drew or Daily Stoic Quotes. I'm excited to bring you another episode soon, but until then, I hope that this episode has helped you on your rise to the good life. Ciao. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Practical Stoic Podcast. I really hope that it's valuable to you, and I really hope that it helps you to live a better life. If it has been valuable to you, please don't forget to subscribe on iTunes and leave a positive review. If you'd like to see more free resources, just go to my website. It's risetothegoodlife.com.